Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading room. Hang on a second here. We'll get the screen share going on. We are opening to a massive gap lower this morning. The market pretty quiet during the North American session yesterday. Here we are. So our session, we had a little bit of a rally up, and then for the most part, the market stayed fairly neutral through the rest of the day until the Asian session opens, and then the bottom falls out. And it keeps falling out. And it keeps going lower and lower and lower. And so we are faced this morning with a monster upside gap. The market, you can see, we tried to recover slightly, went sideways more or less. Here, let me just get to the end. And we're opening the day around the 7,200 mark. We left off yesterday around 7,280. So that is one of the largest gaps I ever remember seeing. For those of you who are quick on the draw, here was your first in-sync eagle signal of the day. And you can see some pretty decent follow-through on that, even just a few minutes into the session. All right, let's put that away for now. I thought they were going to keep heading higher, but so far they put on the brakes there pretty quick. Of course, we're only a couple of minutes into the day here. Oops, and we'll have to, I think we'll have to give them a little bit of time here. Well, we kind of stalled a little bit here after a very, very aggressive move out of the open. So I don't know. Is that enough to call the market bullish this morning? I think it's important to try to exercise a little bit of patience when the market is like this. Even, worst case scenario, the market runs away and I don't get a trade off. Okay, that's bad. We all hate missing opportunities, but it's always better than losing money. So that early move, losing some of that momentum. Well, things are still looking very, very bullish. We've got another first micro macro cross here. We're going to get a Falcon trend change signal here, and I may try to take advantage of that one. It's a little bit tight on the parameters. The trend looking like it's up here was a little bit of a setback. We're bouncing off the median line. We do have a follow-up signal here on the Raptor, just one of your discretionary style signals if you want to take advantage of that. And sounds like we've hit the high probability profit target, which was just before the primary resistance line. So the market really respecting our support and resistance lines this morning, which is always a bonus. And now things may be settling ever so slightly again. Boy, if you had the courage to take that first eagle signal this morning, look at the follow through on that. That's just crazy. Even the second signal, just your basic trend change signal, it too is up to its profit objective right now. Trade forecasts are suggesting we are transitioning, though, into some choppy trading, or perhaps some choppy trading as the market might be entering scalp mode. So in scalp mode, we would anticipate a little bit less on the follow through, perhaps some bigger swings overall. Here on the Falcon now, again, we've got our late filter entry signal. The filter going out of sync, coming back into sync, the trend line not changing color. We do have, again, a second push entry opportunity on this one, which simply means we look to enter above where the market has reacted. So we allow the signal to engage, we see where the market reacts, and then we place our entry accordingly. I try not to keep these too tight just because I don't want to see the market break by a tick or two and then reverse. Speaking of reversals, I think our trading band is getting rather broad here. Well, we're about 15, 16 ticks high. So that's about 45, 50 ticks in that neighborhood. Sorry, 16 points. There's 4 ticks per point. When your cloud gets to be about 40 or 50 ticks broad, it does make a reversal a little bit more likely. Not going to go crazy and call for a full-blown reverse here, but a little bit of a move back. Of course, the target would be the hard edge of the trading band. That brings us back to the 7,200 range. And there now the counter trend signal. Let's see here. Dan's got a question about the Falcon signal. He says, just for review, would the signal on the Falcon at 7203 be a trend change signal? So let's see. So the market opens 7203. Oh, the one that I took. Yes, that would be a trend change signal. The trend line is red, it goes green. The trend change has this characteristic up, down, up pattern. The signal prints. We had the original trend change signal right here. The trend line changes color. Here's the up, a single bar down, come back with an up. And that was the first trend change signal about a minute or so into today's session. But yes, this other one was also a trend change signal. Now we are working a possible trend change signal to the short side. So the trend line changing color from green to red. Here's the down, here is the up push. And if we come back now with a sell signal, that will be a completed signal to short. But this is one of these situations where context kind of comes into play. Will it be a valid signal? Yes, most definitely. Is it likely to be one of the best signals you're going to see today? All right, so here it is. Here's the trend change signal. Is it a valid signal? Yes, it is. But it's against an obvious trend, isn't it? So will I take it? Well, this now is the judgment call. You could take it and perhaps, wait for the second push opportunity as I'm doing here. So we've seen the market flinch. We kind of know the extent of the current ranges from the sellers. And rather than take it right on the hash mark, you see we kind of help keep ourselves on the right side of the trade. But when there's a dominant trend, you always need to be careful about your counter trend attempts. That is the difficult part of trading. Okay, so now we're getting a trend change signal to the upside, and we can anticipate this one. It's going to print approximately right there. So now the trend change signal has printed this one now with trend, and maybe we'll try to stretch this one a little bit. The market a little bit, hopefully a little bit more responsive to the upside, because that is the overall trend at the moment. And they're thinking about it. We are above the primary resistance line, so I'm hoping we're going to get a little bit follow through now that we're above there. And if the buyers don't get their act together here shortly, I will look at getting my stops in perhaps a little bit tighter. It's still very early in the day. We're not even out of opening range yet. But I have a tendency, if the market seems to be paying off in one direction, or if it seems to have something resembling a trend, I will try to stay on that side of the market as much as possible. See, and now we're coming back with the trend change signal to the short side. So the market a little bit more conflicted where it is right now, or perhaps a little bit more balanced. And it's looking like they're going to make a run here at the support zone, and this may actually open up the opportunity for a short. Yeah, here on the Raptor, we got that characteristic 2-3-2 pattern, and the sell signal a little bit easier on that second number 2 signal. I don't know if my stops are going to be far enough here to ride out this swing. Ideally, the better stop placement is down here. Again, what I'm looking to avoid is just seeing the market slip below these lows by a tick or two and then reverse and head higher. But right now, it doesn't look like that was a danger. So a little bit unfortunate that the market did not follow through as well on that signal. We'll see where the market defines its range. We're getting a little bit of a reaction here now. This could be the making of an early number 1 signal, an early cloud crossover. We know the top end of the market is up here, just shy of 72.23. Where's the bottom? Once we see where the bottom is at, it would be a rather broad range, but it does open up the possibility of an OCO. One cancels other. We'll give them a minute or two, see if this number 1 signal pans out. Okay, well, I'm going to get the top end of the signal ready. Come on, just give me a little bit of a bounce there. We're back down to the median line, of course. Oh, come on. Okay. So it's, like I say, a really broad OCO type order, and we are going to produce a number one signal here as the clouds try to cross or are crossing. It's nice to see the market a little bit more active after a long period of some rather dull sessions. We've at least got a little bit of activity now. All right, so here now is going to produce the number one signal. The cloud's fully crossed. Here is the sell signal. I know it developed rather quickly there. We got the warning dot, and then a second or two later, we had the complete signal print. Okay, I will get a stop loss in play here. I'm going to hold it back just for a little bit. Oops, wrong button. There we go. And it looks like the sellers may be going to try to move the market back to the low of the morning. That would be encouraging. Obviously, if we break this low, I think the dam is going to break and we could see a much bigger move to the short side. But first things first. Come on. There we go. All right, I'm going to take the trade to break even now. Oh, really? Oh, you stinkers. They were just waiting for me to do that. Oh, nuts. All right, well, we're going to get a follow-up signal here, one of those discretionary signals. Oh, here on the Falcon, nope, sorry, I was just about to say the Falcon's going to give us a late filter entry signal. It is still a late filter entry here. I'm just going to short again. Hold on a second here. We're going to get the stops back. It is still a late filter entry signal, even though the filter went out of sync. It only went out of sync for a single bar. Sometimes I will still take those as a late filter entry. This one here, where it's out of sync for about 3 or 4 bars, that one doesn't qualify any longer. But what happened here is I bet you this bar here went just one tick too high, and that was enough to spoil the trend line. So it's a little bit of an advanced move on the late filter entry, but very often if it goes out of sync for a single bar, you don't need to worry about it all that much. All right, so we're short again here on the Raptor. Took profit on the first contract, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more follow through. And all this was just re-entering because I got tagged out here on the break even. So I was just looking for another follow-up signal to take advantage of. I just used my sell market button to get short, and hopefully they will continue lower from here. Like I said, if we take out the low of the morning, that could result in a serious push to the short side. Of course, some buying is to be anticipated as we get closer toward the morning lows. And you can see the primary support line doing a fine job of highlighting where the market is responding. Nuts. That's twice. Oh well. Let's see what else we have going here. Okay, speaking of late filter entry signals here, now this one, I would classify that as being too much out of sync. We're a couple, 3 bars out of sync here, and besides, we are starting to produce too many late filter style signals. Usually the first late filter entry signal will have some follow through to it, but if you keep producing late filter entry signal after late filter entry signal after late filter entry signal, I get a little suspicious because there's a reason the filter keeps breaking up, and that's because we're seeing a momentum shift, or might be seeing a momentum shift. Yeah, thanks, Scott. Rub it in. Scott reminding me I should take break even plus 2. Double my profit. Thanks, man. Thanks for looking out for me. All right, a little bit of a rebound now as the market entering a real tug of war. You can see the hawk back into yellow bars. This is going to be a real fight now for control. Who is actually in control of the market? All right, there's the low of the morning. And a pretty decent pushback. Just looking at the cloud here, we're about 15 ticks broad, not quite, maybe 13, 12, 13. So not a huge trading band, but like I said, breaking the lows here, you just know there's some buyers hanging out there. All right, so we're back to the hard edge of our trading band, both here on the Eagle and the Raptor. The Hawk already bullish now with the first micro-macro cross higher. The Falcon trying to get bullish. We've got a couple warning dots, no signal just yet. And likewise here on the Raptor, a little bit too early to call that a trend change, as our band is still stacked in a very bearish fashion. All right, I thought we were going to see something there, perhaps a hard edge bounce signal, but it hasn't printed just yet. Here on the Eagle, we have now the green bar sell. That tends to be a fairly high probability signal for the Eagle. Okay, and now here on the Raptor, we do have the confirmed hard edge bounce. And, you know, given that the market is trading at some pretty serious lows, I'm not opposed to looking for a second push opportunity. Is that it? Is that all they're going to give me? Is that little reactionary bar right there? I wanted to see how close I was to this reaction. Okay, that's a little bit more comforting as far as a second push entry goes. At least we have one bullish bar. Right here they come again with another second push. And are they going to follow through this time? And whew, that was close. So a quick little move lower. Looks like we're still getting some support off of the low du jour. But I took profit on target just to be different. Seeing how so many times before I leave profit behind. Oh, well. What a crazy business. All right, a little bit of bullishness sneaking back in. Our Eagle signal, I don't know if it got all the way to its profit objective. Oh, yes, it did too. The Eagle paying off big time this morning. Wow. Just some monster signals there from the Eagle. Back into the hard edge. Here too, we don't want to see signals repeating too often. It's almost like they start to wear out. We're going to get another green bar sell signal developing here because we're in the hard edge. We anticipate a reaction. The first signal, yeah, okay, hop on board. There's a good chance that the signal will work out. Now we're into the second signal. Now you have to ask yourself, okay, is this signal going to be a test of the extreme, just a retest of the low? It's not the end of the world if it is, and I'm just anticipating where the signal will print here to make a point. You can look at the signal and you can say, do I have enough room in here to do something with the trade? Now, the warning dot, as you can see, has since disappeared, but we're going to pretend for a moment that the signal is still trying to print. Do I have the ability to do something with this trade logistically before we perhaps start to encounter some buying support? And, I think you probably could. I think you could probably take the signal, manage the trade relatively tightly as the market progresses here. We're still with a bearish band, so if we produce a green bar sell up here, logistically anyways, we have even a better chance of doing something or perhaps even hitting our profit target before some buying support comes into the market. All right, so here we go. Here's with the red bar, or pardon me, the green bar sell. And, as I mentioned, this is something, there's the signal. Let's adjust. So now you have to ask yourself, can I do something with this trade before the market potentially reverses? And I would probably, get something like my bar high low ready, and I would probably manage the trade fairly aggressively because each bar, of course, is worth 12 ticks. Okay, here we go with yet another green bar sell signal. The first one here, or pardon me, the second one didn't engage. The first one did. And what you could do is, if you wanted, you could just prepare, and you could even just use your sell market button. I only want to sell a single. Okay, so here comes the signal. We've got the triangle. There's the signal. And will it engage? There it is. All right, so now, like I say, you have to ask yourself, if this market is not ready to reverse, can I do something with this trade? Is it going to get down here that I can at least get something resembling a profit target? Maybe I'll roll my break even to around the halfway point. So I have my auto break even in play. You can even just do your profit target at that point. And like I said, I would probably manage the trade a little bit more aggressively. There we go. Even looking at taking a scalping profit or a swing profit. All right, and a little bit of a pushback there now. But it was worth a try. You picked up a couple of dollars. It wasn't a huge move by any means, but you see what I mean about logistically, it made sense. This signal that may print, well, currently it's green, but if the market comes up here and produces another sell signal, we're going to pretend here for a moment. Let's pretend we're going to get a sell signal on this bar. We don't have the signal, but we're just pretending. Is it a viable trade? Well, yes, it would be. It would be a bounce off of the hard edge. But look at the trade parameters now. You know, logistically, it's not as feasible. And now we have the higher swing. So effectively, we also have a rule of three. So the next short actually has to take out kind of this trend line support zone. And if anything, it's starting to look a little bit, perhaps a little bit more bullish for the NASDAQ. But that was a good opportunity to show you that. So here we go again with another green bar sell. You can see the tool's a little bit more conflicted. We're getting some mixed messages now, so it's not quite as plain as it was early on. The hawk, moderately bullish, as is the falcon. The eagle still with a bearish band, but just barely so. And the raptor also with a rather neutral band. The whole, you can see just the whole range recently here for the last half hour, give or take, has been very, very sideways. So here was another green bar sell. Stop placement is pretty obvious on this one. And it just really boils down to, like I say, the logistics of the trade. Do you think there's enough room in here? If you had to bail on the trade, could you get out at least at break even? Or is there enough room to maybe realize a small profit before the market potentially reverses? If you think yes, then that makes it easier to take the trade. If you think no, well then pass on the trade. Even if it falls into the category of one of our high probability trades. Remember, there's always more opportunities available. You don't have to go chasing those less desirable looking trades just because you're looking for something to trade. I think the fact the market is spending so much time going sideways would almost suggest that we're putting in a little bit of a bottom. At least for the short term. I think now that we're below or near the low of the morning, I think we can pretty much, or here it'll be easier to see on the Eagle. I think we can pretty much call the market either neutral or even in a downtrend because we've recovered whatever there was of an uptrend this morning, taking it all back, and here we are again. We do have a definite sideways range going on though. We're almost an hour in the session. It's not unusual to see the market trying to reverse at that time. If there's been a defined trend, that is. Okay, a couple of signals now. They would have been easier to see in hindsight than real time, but here we had a couple green bar sells on the Hawk. Of course, we have the number 1 and the number 3 signal here on the Raptor. But real time, I don't know. You know, given the context, it would have been a tough one to take advantage of, even though it did work out pretty well. Things really, really choppy right now. But we are in swing mode, again moving into scalp mode, so it seems like as far as Trade Forecaster goes, we keep flipping between the two. Yeah, and just the candy striping that's going on. Lots of back and forth signals. Oh, here we go again with we had a number 2 signal try to print, did not complete, came back now with a number 3 signal. I was just going to say, we could see the market try to overrun the buyers at this point, and this would probably be a good number 3 signal to take. Of course, before I could get all that out, the market did make its move. And trickled low enough to at least find its high probability profit target. So whether you took the hard edge bounce there or there, you have found your profit target. Hooray. Scott says the market turned into a snoozer. Yes, it did. That's a technical trading term. Okay, so after that quick little move through the support, we're seeing the market try to come back now. No, maybe not. Well, we are getting some decent signals here. Oh, actually, speaking of late filter entry signals, there was a beauty right there. Note how flat the trend line went. When the trend line goes flat like that and it won't change color and your filter goes out of sync, comes back into sync, get all over that signal. That is almost as good as putting money in the bank. That signal will very, very rarely fail. All right, we saw a quick little move lower there. Those always make me a little suspicious. I always wonder when I see the market move so quickly, is it just doing that to get everybody to reach for their sell button, only to allow the market to reverse and head higher? I know, I'm so cynical. And yet, it does tend to happen. We'll see if we get a number 2 signal to buy. I might give that a whirl. Okay, a little test of the extreme, nothing too terribly exciting, but here comes our buy signal. All the same, I'm going to lock my trade in at a single contract because this is a pretty risky little little trade on my part. But like I said, we saw the market really whip down there. All right, there's the buy signal. I'm trying not to blink. There's, oh, look at that. They just flew through there as well. All right, well, I got long. And did they slip? Oh, they did too. Look at that, stinkers. Slipped me a couple of ticks. Well, I want those ticks back. The danger here, the very real possibility of a retest of the low. Hard edge is my target. All right, here's the second push now. Let's go. Giddy up. All right, I'm tempted to roll my stops. Ooh, a little bit late for that, but one thing I know is that my stops are in the right place. If the market takes out the lows, well, then I'm definitely on the wrong side of this trade equation. Here now, the property number 2. What I was watching here didn't register deep enough to actually qualify as a test of the extreme. The programming now picking up that this was a test of the extreme and that this is going to be a soft edge buy. You can see we've got the warning signal not complete just yet. All right, there we go. So one way or another, it looks like I would have been long from 71.70 and a quarter. Oh, come on now. All right, I'm going to bring my break even here now to the hard edge. Hopefully we'll get one more push up. There we go. Here we'll give it a little nudge from below, get up there. I'm using the magic mouse to unfairly manipulate the market. Unfortunately, the Magic Mouse software is still in beta testing, so it's not available just yet. Come on, get up there. Get up there. All right, I will roll my stops a little bit to below the secondary support line. I'll adjust my break even again. Oh, look at that. Tagged the hard edge, and now it's looking to reverse. Yeah, my stops are going to be too tight. As I said, the best stop for this trade is actually down here. But they tapped me out, so I'll have to take my licks early. Not convinced I was on the wrong side of that trade. Or rather, my timing may have been, or my stops may have been a little bit wrong. The darn hard edge of that trading band. You gotta watch it. Yeah, see? My stop was too tight again. I should have just left it where it was. All right, well, we're going to get early cloud cross here. So this now the early number one signal. As the clouds Not quite fully crossed, but certainly most of the way there. I think the Falcon also working a trend change. Yes, it is. The Hawk already full on bullish. And where's that early signal? We'll just pop in with a buy order if we get it. So the cloud crossover again, initiated by the clouds crossing, preceded by a pullback, and then we get the signal. This is the early cloud crossover. This one won't print as a number one signal, but it still has all the elements. All the conditions are there, except the cloud is not crossed over 100%. For those of you who like to do OCO orders, we actually have an opportunity to bracket this recent range as well. You can look to buy a break above the last swing. You can look to short a break below. All right, so here now coming the early number one signal. I'll try to get some of my money back on that last trade. So I'm going to, again, hold my stop a couple of swings back. $7,200 would be an ideal target. That would bring us back here to the median line. I'll throw a profit taking order in there. And maybe use the parabolic mode for now. Now that the clouds are going to cross, we're going to get the proper number one signal. So I'm trying not to crowd the trade too much here, as somewhere along here there's going to be a little bit of a pullback. I'll even go break even +2 this time. All right. We're getting a little bit of open profit here now, so I'll stay with the parabolic mode, and we'll see how it works out, if it works out. If you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive on your stops, still the bar high low is the most aggressive stop strategy. Usually if you go a couple bars back, it will take you out on the first sign of weakness. Very often it will also coincide with the parabolics. Oh, look at that. It just came within a tick. Stinkers. Who's shorting before my profit target? Huh? Who is it? All right, well, that was a decent little run up, help offset that earlier little loss here on that little hiccup. But a pretty decent day overall. We've capitalized on some decent moves. Not quite a four-figure day today, but not bad. Certainly if you were trading multiples, you would be very close to a four-figure day today. Well, whereas the market started bullish, then went bearish, now I'd have to say we're bullish again. Looking perhaps for a pullback again or some sort of opportunity to re-enter. We're going to be watching and waiting for a while yet. We've had a couple decent moves this morning. I don't know how much more the market has. It may just kind of end up thrashing a bit for the rest of the day, just kind of going back and forth. And now you can see here is, after all that, here is the proper number one signal forming. Now, it's not that this is necessarily a bad signal. The problem I have with this signal is, how do I cover it? So there's the number one signal. How do I cover this trade? Well, you could try to cover it there, but if there's even the slightest reverse, you're going to get tagged out. Ideally, you want to be two swings back. So there's swing one, there's swing two. That's a minor swing. This is actually the major swing. Oops, I'm in manual mode. If I go to my risk percent mode, I'm pretty sure I can't afford that much risk. No, I can't. Trade manager saying, nope, sorry, Eric, that's a little bit out of reach. That was one of the reasons I tried to get on early with the early number one signal as it was printing. But like I said, this overall, this is not a bad signal to take. The trend does seem to be up. The challenge is stop placement. All right, gang. Looks like we're going to kind of quiet down here perhaps for a little bit. I think, oh gosh, who knows? The market's made three major moves today, higher, lower, and now higher again. We may just end up seeing a sideways drift for the remainder of the session. Don't quote me on that. I would be a little bit more bullish right now, I think, than bearish, just given the last move. But it's going to be a little sketchy from here on out. You can see trade forecasters saying we are in full-on scalp mode going into the lunch hour, and I kind of believe that. All right, I guess we'll talk to you tomorrow. See you Wednesday. Bye for now.